Just like sharks, submarines are lurking in the oceans, ready to hunt down their next target. Some may be used by civilians and others for top-secret missions. From submarines ready to launch nukes at any moment, to subs that have been transformed into playgrounds, here are photos of the most insane submarines.
Hey guys, this is your host, American Eye. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy that video.
Number 17. DIY Submarine. If you're not familiar with Tan Yang, the inventor from China, you should really check out some of his crazy inventions. This 44-year-old farmer actually built his own submarine that weighs an astonishing 2,200 pounds. He claims it can reach depths of 30 feet with no problem. He also claims that there's only one problem with it. It's apparently too dark in there and that he needs a little bit more oxygen. But hey, if you can make your own submarine at home, not have to spend millions of dollars like other ones, just go for it. Number 16. Putin Triton Sub. You might see this type of submarine if you enjoy some underwater tourism, but this is the latest technology. With an emergency oxygen supply, you're set to survive an extra 96 hours. But it does have its own life support system, and you wouldn't even need oxygen. If you got the dough to cough up and you aren't too claustrophobic, be sure to order it soon because it does take 18 months to deliver. In case you're wondering, Vladimir Putin does have something like this. Number 15. The SMU 118. In an attempt to be towed to the coast for scrapping, a storm struck the English Channel in 1919, and this photo here was taken of the SMU 118 off the coast of the English city of Hastings. Shocked beachgoers take an up-close gander at this mysterious vessel almost as if it was an extraterrestrial aircraft or something. For a while, it became a tourist attraction, and people would actually pay for admission to go see it. Later on that year, they figured that they would make more money selling it for scrap, and it was dismantled. It worked as a mine-laying submarine before, placing explosives in enemy territory. Number 14. The Dragon. This $1.5 million James Bond-style sub hovers under the ocean at 4 knots, and apparently it isn't too hard to figure out how to operate. With its fans and vertical thrust, it almost looks like some kind of underwater drone. This electric sub is also fixed with positive buoyancy, ensuring that it won't sink to the bottom of the ocean if the battery dies. That paint job isn't looking bad either. Imagine cruising next to whales or uncovering underwater ruins with a gadget like this. Number 13. The Submersible Yacht. So yeah, we all know yachts would be cooler if they can go underwater, but is that even possible considering the size? And would anyone actually be able to afford one? People working at Migaloo private submersible yachts think yes, and they're thinking of one that converts a military-grade submarine into their own private yacht. Government owns yachts that cost $2.3 billion to build, but once they're decommissioned and the torpedoes are taken off board, they can convert them into looking like this. Number 12. The Rinspeed Scuba. You might think you're looking at a brand new car, but you're only half right, because it's also a submarine too. This amphibious car is developed by a Swiss company called Rinspeed, and it's one of the first of its kind. It can be driven both on land and underwater. While some cars can be turned into boats fairly easily, this one could be your own private submarine for the right price. How much would you guess one of these costs? If you guess 1.5 million, good job. If you're willing to fork over the cost of this, you could have your own James Bond style vehicle. This is an all-electric vehicle which uses 3 motors that allow it to drive along the bottom of a body of water. Instead of hitting deers, if you're driving this, you gotta watch out for hitting sharks or other underwater creatures. It has room for one other adventurous occupant, and breathing masks may be needed. Number 11. The US Class Submarine. This class of submarines are bringing some serious competition to the Americans, and each one weighs 13,800 tons. These are built by the Russians, and it's most likely the heaviest submarine in the world, and it can carry an astonishing 38 cruise missiles, which are vertically launched from the top of the sub. Don't forget about the 38 torpedoes on board as well, capable of sinking enemy submarines and naval ships. It requires 90 men to operate, which isn't too much considering its great size. Number 10. The US Navy Sea Jet. This photo here was taken from a distance, so you can see the bizarre shape of the US Sea Jet, and it almost looks like some kind of monster. Also known as the Advanced Electric Ship Demonstrator, this vessel measures in at 133 feet or 41 meters, and it's what's known as a naval testbed for the Navy's Office of Naval Research. This is in active service, but it most likely won't see any action anytime soon because it's located in Bayview in the northern tip of Idaho. So unless Canada goes to war with us, this thing won't be put to use. The lake's depth goes down about 1,150 feet, making it an excellent place to test out some new subs. Out on this isolated lake, the Navy can test various aspects of new submarine technology such as propeller noise, new sail designs, and also its handling capabilities. Besides the bizarre design, this thing has some serious sub power with an engine packing 3,000 horsepower. Number 9. The Turtle. She was first built in 1775 in Connecticut and was used to attach explosives on enemy British ships without being detected. It only had enough oxygen for 25 minutes of submergence. Royal British Navy boats occupying American harbors were the favorite targets for this primitive submarine. The Turtle was about 10 feet wide and was operational for one person at a time. General George Washington authorized the first turtle attack in the New York harbor where unsuspecting British naval officers were enjoying a cup of tea on the HMS Eagle. Little did they know they were about to get blown to smithereens. Number 8. The US Seawolf. Despite the US Navy not having a great presence in the Arctic Sea, this nuclear submarine called the Seawolf can spend months undersea and then surface near the North Pole. This photo here displays one of the US's Seawolves doing just that, with some of the crew on deck getting a breath of chilly air. Its limitless range makes it perfect for exploring the deep sea oceans, and it really only needs to be docked in order to re-up on supplies. Number 7. Virginia Class Submarines. This class of submarine is really in a class of its own. It's expected to remain in service for at least the next 43 years. Each one is crafted carefully, which requires an estimated 9 million labor hours for construction of a single Virginia-class submarine. These are supposed to be America's most advanced series of submarines to this date, and they plan to build another 35 of these. You can imagine these would be expensive to construct, considering there's a nuclear reactor on board. There are also several new features that have never been seen before on US-class submarines. This includes new sonar systems, accurate cruise missile firing systems, pump jet propulsors, and also improved gear to save the crew in case it sinks. Many have called it the Ferrari of submarines, and only the best submariners will have the chance to ride in it. Cost per submarine, just about $2.5 billion. Number 6. Navy SEAL Pickup. When submarines aren't completely underwater, helicopters can swoop carefully near the ship's deck and pick up several special forces. Hopefully it doesn't get too slippery on there or someone might fall in. The photo was taken in May of 2012 of a nuclear submarine with some SEALs on top. Navy SEALs have been known to swim out of submerged vehicles near enemy targets. Sometimes this is the most discreet way to conduct some sabotage. Number 5. Aber Lady-based submarines. There are a total of at least 8 wrecks tallied here, 2 of which from XT submarines. XT class submarines like we see in this photo are classified as midget submarines that were built by the Royal Navy between 1943 and 1944. The crafts are about 51 feet long and 5.5 feet in diameter and can displace 30 tons of water while submerged. Used as target practice by the British Royal Air Force, they were completely obliterated, left abandoned in this UK natural reserve. Does the wreckage serve some historical value to the public, or do they just not feel like picking it up? Or both, maybe. Number 4. Narco subs. Many narco subs are found abandoned after they've been broken down and can be found rotting on the banks of rivers. This one we see here is from the country of Ecuador. The submarines are also constructed with cameras, one for daytime and the other one for night vision, to help them navigate the seas no matter what hour it is. Some transporters prefer to go slow, but may make many drop-offs to cities in Mexico. One run with this much cargo may take about 2 weeks. They should probably get used to small spaces, because if they get caught, they'll be doing some serious time in a prison cell. Number 3. 1,000-ton piece of sub. Modern-day submarines are massive without a doubt, but it's not always easy getting the pieces together in order to build them. This piece of submarine we see here was constructed by Base Systems, the same people who brought you HARP, and it's also completely draped, so you have no idea what it looks like. It's apparently a large piece of a nuclear sub that weighs an estimated 1,000 tons. And some claim it's a part of an Astute submarine class, which is the latest class of British submarines. Number 2. Canal barge replica. In the UK city of Liverpool, this canal barge might confuse people at first, but it's actually been turned into a unique replica. The owner decided to transform it into a model of a German U-boat, which was actually a sub that wreaked havoc on the Allies 80 years ago. Some passers-by were quite startled with their discovery and thought it may be actually a machine of war. Luckily, no torpedoes were on board this time, and the Germans weren't invading anybody. The display cost 50,000 British pounds for the U-boat design to be placed on this. The person who completed the project is fascinated with naval history and loves his new toy. And number 1, Submarine Playground. It's quite interesting to see how machines of war can be transformed into places where children can laugh and play, while they have no idea the havoc these things are capable of. This is found at the Technik Museum in Germany, which consists of a real German U-boat. This was known as a U-9, and people can climb in for themselves. There isn't a ton of information on this when you Google it, but it's known that this submarine was decommissioned since 1993.